we can have a chat afterwards if that's okay.
Okay, that's fine.
Great. So welcome. This is the candidate briefing for the SU Officer by-elections 2022. I'm just going to go through some of the key contacts you'll need during the election period. I'll give you a refresher on the elections timeline, and I will go over some of the rules and regs that you need to know for being a candidate in the elections. What we won't cover today is lots of tips and tricks on how to run a campaign. That is because we've held workshops over the last couple of weeks, and you can find recordings of all of those on our candidate hub, and the link is there in the corner. There's recordings of those sessions, and the recording of this session will be on there as well. Who am I? I'm the Student Voice Manager at the Students' Union. So my job day to day is to support, if you were elected into the role that you're running for, my job will be to support you running your campaigns, achieving your manifesto. I support all of our reps and officers throughout the year, facilitate democratic meetings that you'll be invited to as an officer, and generally make sure we're gathering student feedback and we're reflecting the views of students working with our officer team. I'm also the Deputy Returning Officer for this election, which basically means it's my responsibility to make sure the elections run smoothly, and if you have any issues or any complaints, that I am the person you can come to. So the two key contacts you need for the elections, one is...
Sorry,
yeah, sorry.
I'm so sorry to... I just wanted to ask, is it okay to share the link to this meeting right now to maybe some other people that may want to be candidates, or
so I can send you the recording afterwards, and we'll put that on the website, and they can watch the recording afterwards, if that's all right.
Okay, all right, that's fine.
Yeah, great,
thank you.
No worries. So key contacts, me, if you have any complaints, so we'll go into what the rules and regs are in a minute, but it might be that you see some behavior from another candidate that you don't think is appropriate, or you want to know if there's something you're okay to do or not, then I'm your first point of call as the Deputy Returning Officer. Any decisions I make, so it might be that you come to me with a complaint and I make a decision on it. If you don't agree with that decision, if you think I've made the wrong decision, you have a right to appeal that decision. And the National Union of Students is our returning officer in this election. So if you want to challenge a decision that I've made, you can drop me an email. I can send you through a form that NUS have, I can help you to fill in that form, and then NUS will make a decision on that. A reminder of the elections timeline. So the 7th of October it is the last day to get in your nominations. So if you're watching this and you haven't yet nominated yourself to be a candidate, make sure to get in your nominations by the 7th of October. It says all promotional materials in for approval there. We will look at stuff afterwards if you send in like poster designs and things, but obviously get those in as soon as you can. What definitely needs to be submitted by the 7th of October, 5 p.m. So this Friday at 5 is your manifesto. So if you're running to be an officer, you need to have a manifesto on the website by 5 p.m. tomorrow to approve you as a candidate. At 9 a.m. on the 10th, so on Monday at 9 a.m. Is when our voting will open. We will have lots of promotion ourselves as a students' union, but that's the point in which voting will open. Students will be able to vote on our website. We'll have emails going out, that sort of thing, and that is also the point at which you can start campaigning as a candidate. Later on that day at 1 p.m, we will be holding question time for candidates. We'll do that via Zoom because we've got some candidates that are standing on different campuses, so the easiest way to do it is by Zoom. And that will be a chance for students to come and ask questions about your campaigns, about your ideas, and it's a chance for you to promote yourselves to students. So we'll host that via Zoom, and we'll also record it and promote it on our social media and our website as well. Voting will run until 5 p.m. on the 14th of October, so the Friday, it will close at 5 p.m. So make sure when you're promoting your campaigns to students that you make them aware of that. The worst thing is to convince someone to vote for you. You've got them on board, but then they don't know when voting ends and they think, oh, I'll do it at the weekend, and then they've missed their chance. So make sure to have that date in mind and remind students of that when you campaign. That says results night. It won't be a results night, but the week commencing the 17th of March, we will have we will be announcing the results. So we will email all candidates whether they were successful or not, and we will be promoting through social media and other sites and our website who has won each election. So some of the boring stuff, rules and regs, I will go through this quite quickly. What I will say is generally, if you just use your common sense, you won't go far wrong. There's a few things that are going to come up on screen now, but generally, you know, be fair to other candidates. Don't try and do anything that gives you an unfair advantage over others, and don't be horrible to each other. Let's have a nice, clean election, and use your common sense, and you'll probably be fine. In general, all candidates must abide by SU policies and procedures, and university code of conduct as well. We have equality and diversity policy, which you can find, or you can email me. You can find it on our website or email me if you want to see it. Candidates in general should act as directed by staff. So you might be in a corridor at the university handing out some leaflets. A staff member might come up to you and ask you to stop doing that, or to move on, or to do it in a different way. Sometimes that might be frustrating, but what we would ask is that in the first instance you comply with that and respect the request from the staff member. If you feel like they've asked you to do something really unfair, come and have a chat with me, and I can raise that with that staff member. What we don't want is candidates getting into a scrap with a lecturer over campaigning during voting week, because that doesn't help anyone. So generally listen to staff, respect what staff say, but if you feel like there's something unfair, have a chat with me and I can try and sort that. If you've got any candidates, if you've got any supporters supporting you in your campaign team, they are also bound by these rules. So you must take reasonable steps to make sure that they know what the rules and regs are. Share the candidate handbook with them, or show them this recording if you want to, just so they have an idea of what is okay and what isn't. Materials, generally, so materials, we mean things like posters and leaflets, things like that. Generally, we will approve, but we need to approve them, so send them in to me, and I'll put my email address up again at the end. But I mean, the reasons we'll say no are quite few and far between. Generally, it's if material refers negatively to any SU staff or students. If there's anything obviously incorrect, if you say the university has a budget of $1 billion and that's obviously not true, then we would question that. And if you've got opinions, you can express them. But if you're trying to make them sound, unfairly as fact, then we would question that. And any sort of discriminatory language we wouldn't accept either. Anything in general that might be prejudicial to the fair running of elections. Again, like I say, use your common sense, be fair-minded to others. Where you're expressing opinion, make that clear, and you won't go far wrong. Social media, we don't ask for you to show us every little bit of something you want to post on social media. We just ask that you add me. It says someone from the elections committee. I'm on the elections committee, so add me onto as an admin, or not even necessarily add admin as an admin. Actually, if you just send me a link to any social media you're going to use, so if you've got a Facebook page or an Instagram page, just send us a link so we can keep an eye on it. That's just in case if there are any complaints about anything you may have posted on social media, I know where to go quickly to have a look at it and find out and have a look at the post myself. So yeah, just send us a link to any social media you've got. Another point about materials: candidates and campaign teams may only alter, move, or remove their own campaign publicity. So if you see a poster from another candidate that shouldn't be where it is, come and tell me. Take a picture, come and tell me, drop me an email, and let me deal with that. What we don't want is candidates removing other people's posters and things like that. So just only deal with your own materials. Where you can campaign, there are generally everywhere on campus is fine, except for a few exceptions, which I'll go through now. The Students' Union offices is like Switzerland during elections, it's neutral. And the library as well, because we don't want people trying to study to be too disrupted during campaigns week. But generally everywhere else is okay. Really, really important, once a student has started to vote, so it might be that you go out with an iPad or whatever, or they might get their phone out whilst you're speaking to them and they want to vote then and there. That's fine, that's good, that helps lock in a vote. What we ask is that once a student has actually logged in and started to try and vote, that you take a few steps back and allow them to sort of have some privacy while they make that decision. And we don't want to see people feeling pressured to vote in a certain way. So yeah, for your own sake, so there's no attempt at any allegations. Just take a few steps back from that candidate, from that student whilst they're voting. If they're struggling to figure out how to vote, direct them to us in the Students' Union. Don't start trying to do it for them or anything like that. Just direct them to us and we can assist them. And again, common sense, if you're campaigning in a certain area, make sure you're not blocking doors or stairwells, and that you're being safe and not being too obstructive. So if you've got a load of bags with you, don't put them all against the fire door exit, common sense, things like that. Budgets, so they're not candidates full-time roles at the moment. Part-time roles actually slightly more than that. So candidates do have budget. It says £25 there. Apologies, I've not updated that slide. If you're running for a part-time role, which is anyone running for an officer role in this election, you do have a budget of £35 that you can spend on your election. So we will also cover a month's subscription to Canva or a similar site like that if you want to use it to design any graphics. Keep receipts. So if you're spending money on whatever it is you're spending money on, keep a receipt of it, hand these in at the end of the voting week, and we can reimburse you for the costs that you've incurred. You cannot spend that on alcohol, unfortunately, so you can't go around offering free shots for people to vote for you. And importantly, a link to that is you can't offer bribes. So the difference between a bribe and a freebie would be if you were set up in the Waterfront building and you were offering out sweets, you could say to someone, oh, would you like a sweet? They say yes. And then you say, oh, could I talk to you about my campaign for 30 seconds? That's fine. You can do that and you can use your budget to buy those sweets. What you can't do is say, hi, will you vote for me? If you vote for me, I'll give you a sweet. That's classed as a bribe. So you can't do that. Really important, because sometimes candidates do get confused about this. The budget of £35 is what we will reimburse you. We will reimburse up to that amount for you. It is also a spending limit, though. You can't spend more than that on your campaign, which is why it is important you get those receipts into us as well. The reason for that is we want to make sure that everyone has a fair chance at running at elections, and some people will have different means at their disposal than others. So we cap the amount that people can spend to £35 to try and keep it an even playing field. So you'll be pleased to know that's all the rules and regs out of the way. A few reminders and tips from me before we wrap up. A reminder that voting is in ranked order. So what this means is that instead of voters just choosing a candidate, what they will be presented with on the voting ballot is all the candidates, and then they'll be able to put a number next to each candidate, and that's how they vote. So if you put a number 1 next to the candidate, you would put the number 1 next to the candidate that you want to win the most. Then you would put a number 2 next to the candidate that you thought would be the next most preferable to you, and so on. And you can preference as many or as few as you want. So it might be that there's 5 candidates, and you, as a voter, you only want one person to get in, and you don't want any of the others. So you just put a number 1 next to that person, and then you wouldn't need to put numbers next to any of the rest. And then you just click through and submit your vote. This is really important for candidates to remember as well, because one, it's helpful for you to be able to explain to students the voting process, and obviously we'll put stuff out as well as an SU. But it might be that you're speaking to someone and they say, oh, sorry, my friend's running for that role, or I've already decided who I'm going to vote for. Obviously, you might still try and convince them to put you as number 1. But what you could do in addition is say to them, okay, that's fine, but would you consider maybe putting me as your second place preference? What happens when we do the vote is that if no candidate has a clear majority in the first round of voting, we will then eliminate the candidate with the least number of votes and redistribute their second place preferences. So it could be that if you might not have the most first place preferences in the first round of voting, but you've actually got quite a lot of second place preferences, and that could have you in the lead in the second round of voting once those are counted. So it is important, and it's a useful tool for candidates to be aware of how that system works and to use that to their advantage. Everything I've talked about is covered it's covered in a couple of places. Bylaw 1 is the key bylaw that covers all our rules and regs. That link there on the screen will take you to where you need to go to view all of that yourself. We also have, that's the incorrect link. I will add a link to that when I post the recording of this video as well. So if you're watching the recording, below this video will be the link you need. But there is an additional rulings page. So sometimes a complaint might come in from a student during elections, and I'll have to decide what we do about that, or there might be a question about the rules that aren't clear already in the election rules. So I might have to make a judgment on that during voting week. Anything like that, I will update on that page. And if it's something that's likely to affect candidates, I will also email that out so that you're aware of that. This is the correct link for updates. So I will post that below the video, but that's where any updates throughout the week will be posted. If you spot a candidate falling afoul of any of these rules I've just mentioned, the process for that is to submit a complaint to the Deputy Returning Officer, which is me. I will be able to guide you through that process. It's important that you get any complaints relating to candidate conduct in before we do the vote announcement. So within an hour of close of polls, you get that complaint into me. And if you are going to make a complaint, if you've got evidence of what's happened, if you've got a picture of something, if you've got witness statements or anything like that, submit all of that with the complaint as well, and that makes the process quicker. I will then make a decision on it. In the first instance, we try and deal with these things more informally, if we're able to. So it might be, if it's quite a minor issue, we might, I think it's on the next slide actually. Yeah, if it's quite a minor issue, we will try to deal with that in a more informal way. Maybe someone's put a poster where they weren't supposed to, or something quite small like that. We will speak to the student and ask them to remove that bit of publicity material, or maybe give them some form of warning. If it's something a bit more serious, or if it's repeated breaches of the rules, at that point we might consider sanctions. So that could be something like a ban on campaigning for a few hours, things like that. If it's something really serious, or they've had numerous chances and they've just not listened, we could potentially remove the candidate from the elections. Never had to do that. Hope I never will. I'm sure we're going to have a lovely set of clean and fair elections, but that is a possibility in case something really bad does happen. I'm just going to sweep through this really quickly, and then I'll end the recording for questions. Just a few bits of advice for me if you're running in the elections. Be clear on what it is you want to achieve in the role, and what makes you stand out from the other candidates, what makes you the right person for that role, and think of one key message you want every voter to take away from any interaction they have with your campaign that week. So whether they look at a poster that you've got on campus, if they read a leaflet, if they speak to you, they see a video on social media, whatever it is, what's that one message you want them to take home from that, and craft your campaign around that, and make sure that's in everything that you put out there during that week. Be organised, so have a campaign team. If you've got some friends willing to campaign and support you, get them together over the weekend, the first day of the elections, get them together and have a bit of a schedule. So it might be that you want to do some lecture shout outs during the week. You can contact lecturers and do that. You can do flyering around campus at key spots where it's going to be busy. Have an idea of where you want to be for those activities, and if you've got 2-3 friends helping you out, you can have a couple of different teams on different spots of campus, and you'll double the number of students you're reaching. But you can only do that if you're organised and plan ahead. Get your social media set up. Ignore the 8th of March on there. Sorry, that needed to be changed. That should be the 10th of October. But get your social media set up and ready to go. So you can't launch your social media yet, but you can create some pages, and then they're ready to go and to launch on the day. And yeah, have some key policies you want to talk about. It might not be policies, it might just be talking points. So it could be something about you that makes you a particularly strong candidate, and that would mean you'd be a particularly good officer. It could be one thing you want to change about the student experience when you're in the role, but have those key talking points. I think having that one key message, but then also having a couple of extra things you can talk about to students that are really interested is really useful. And make sure your campaign team knows what they are as well, and that they're briefed and know what to say to people. And be creative with it as well. There'll be other candidates standing. There's a lot going on campus beyond elections as well. So you need to stand out and grab people's attention a little bit. Do things a little bit differently. So think about, you want to get your standard flyers, your posters out there, your social media, but think about how you can make some of that stuff a bit different and grab people's attention differently. And think about the groups of people that don't often vote. What are you offering them? How can you reach them with your campaign? We've got a really diverse student body. So I think about the ways you can reach lots of different students and lots of different student groups. A reminder, key contacts are me as Deputy Returning Officer for any complaints, and you can appeal through NUS. But yeah, su.democracy is the email address you will need pretty much for anything. Any questions or complaints, head to there first, and we can help you out. So yeah, that's it from me. I'm going to pause this recording. There we go.